All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Several weeks ago, the San Francisco 49ers were rolling as they are looking to win the franchise's first Super Bowl title since the 1994 season. But the injury bug hit the 49ers against the Cleveland Browns as they lost all pro offensive tackle Trent Williams, Pro Bowl running back Christian McCaffrey, and Pro Bowl wide receiver Debo Samuel. And in the process, the 49ers would also lose that contest to the Browns. Now, since then, the 49ers have gotten McCaffrey back, but they're still without the services of Williams or Samuel. And subsequently, the 49ers currently find themselves in the midst of a three-game losing streak. Now, without the bevy of all pros not around him, quarterback Brock Purdy is now not looking like the Brock Purdy who helped the Niners reach the NFC Championship game last January. Now, aside from tasting defeat for the first time as an NFL starter, Purdy has 5 interceptions over the last 3 games. And with that, it should not come as a surprise that the 49ers have lost all three of those contests. Opponents, obviously, regardless of the sport, regardless of the level, opponents study your tendencies and they're always looking for a flaw in your game. And I think that they found some in that belongs to Purdy. Now, Purdy has been efficient throughout his NFL career, but he needs things to be perfect around him as he's not a guy that's going to go out there and put an offense on his back. And I'm not saying that to slight Brock Purdy, it is what it is. Purdy does not scare opposing defenses with his ability to throw the deep football. It's all about getting the football to that litany of playmakers around him in space and letting them do what they do. Now, yes, the Niners do need to get healthy as they've fallen out of first place in the NFC West. But would head coach Kyle Shanahan think about benching Purdy in favor of Sam Darnold? Now, I bring this up because I said this as soon as the 49ers picked up Sam Darnold over the offseason, that it really would not surprise me at some point to see Darnold become the starting quarterback for the 49ers. I thought it was going to happen yesterday against the Bengals as due to the fact that Purdy was in the concussion protocol for the majority of the week, but it didn't as Kyle Shanahan decided to roll with a healthy Brock Purdy. But from Sam Darnold's standpoint, you figure this is the most talent that he's been around during his brief NFL career. And let's not forget, once upon a time, Sam Darnold was the second overall pick in the pardon me, the third overall pick rather in the NFL draft. But when he went to the Jets, the Jets basically expected him to go out there and turn water into wine, which didn't happen. Got traded to the Carolina Panthers once the Jets went in a different direction at head coach. And he did show flashes and he did show improvement last year. And obviously, clearly, right now, San Francisco is a better opportunity than either New York or Carolina for Sam Darnold in his NFL career. On top of that, Sam Darnold has the better arm. I mean, you don't become a top 5 pick in the NFL at quarterback if you don't check all of the boxes for most teams. Because obviously the Jets took him, but if the Jets didn't take him, somebody else was going to take him top 5 that year. But nonetheless, he checks all of the boxes as far as the intangibles physically. Okay, for being a quality NFL quarterback. More importantly, Sam Darnold can sling that ball and he could throw it deep down the field, which is something that Brock Purdy does not give the San Francisco 49ers offense, in my opinion. Now, for me, I bring all of this up because it's now or never for the San Francisco 49ers. You don't have that much wiggle room over the second half of the season, and they have really mortgaged their future to try to win now. And the 49ers have been so close over the last couple of years. They got to the Super Bowl in 2019 and lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going to say it right now. I've said it before. If they had a better quarterback in that game, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs because go back and watch it. San Francisco was up 20-10 heading to the fourth quarter. Really should have been at least 31-10. But Jimmy G missed so many opportunities in that game to help San Francisco seal the victory. You go back to the 2021 NFC Championship game when San Francisco lost to the Los Angeles Rams. Jimmy G missed so many opportunities to put the Rams away early in that contest, and it caught up to them late. And then, of course, last year getting to the NFC Championship game, and we don't know what could have been for the 49ers, being that Brock Purdy was injured so early on in that contest. But nonetheless, so much talent on both sides of the ball. The 49ers have committed so much money to some of these key players on both sides of the football. At some point, the other shoe is going to drop. The end is near, if you will. So, with that said, the 49ers need to be all in. And with that said, they don't have a lot of wiggle room in their schedule during the second half of the season. Remember, they've got two games with the Seattle Seahawks, and they played Seattle three times last year. They beat Seattle all three times, including the wild card round. All three games were close. All three games were very contentious. And I guarantee you that Seattle has not forgotten that. And not only they still play Seattle twice. They play Seattle two times within a 3 week span. They got Seattle on Thanksgiving night in Seattle, and then sandwiched between that and the rematch, they got to go to Philly and take on the Eagles in an NFC Championship game rematch. You're at Jacksonville coming out of your bye, and Jacksonville has won their last six games as they're looking like one of the top teams in the AFC. You're home for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and don't pay attention to the Bucks losing record right now. This is a game team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You still got Arizona, you still got Baltimore, you still got the rematch with the Rams as well, and then a trip to Washington late in the season in week number 17. We don't know what shape Washington is going to be in after the trade deadline, but you know what? Ron Rivera led team, whether they're in it or not, they're still going to be a tough out come the second half of the season, especially coming down the stretch. So, with that said, it's time for the 49ers to really, really get things going. For me, the 49ers, they tried for the longest time as far as getting things right at the quarterback position under John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And you figure making the trade for Jimmy G, paying Jimmy G, and Jimmy G was another one of those guys. Everything had to be perfect around him, and the 49ers tried to make it as perfect as possible, and he came up short. And then the thought process was, well, let's go out there and get Trey Lance. You not only use a first round pick on Trey Lance, you trade up in the first round to get Trey Lance. And then, of course, subsequently, it didn't work out. The Niners gave up on him, and they just traded him prior to the start of this season to the Dallas Cowboys. So it's gut check time for the San Francisco 49ers. For me, I brought up, the question as far as Kyle Shanahan making the move to Sam Darnold. I'll tell you this. I do believe in my heart of hearts that Kyle Shanahan is going to give Brock Purdy the benefit of the doubt because, again, you look at what Trent Williams brings to this offensive line. You are talking about arguably the best offensive lineman of this era in the National Football League, regardless of position. You're talking about a guy who is a future Hall of Famer. You're talking about a guy who sets the tone on that offensive line. You're talking about a guy who brings a certain level of nasty to any team that he plays for. And he is an anchor on that O line. So not having him obviously definitely changes things. San Francisco wants and needs to get him healthy. You need Debo out there. You got Christian McCaffrey back. He's working through an injury right now. But then also, you still got talent on that offense. George Kittle, arguably the best tight end in football right now. Then you got talent at the wide receiver position with the likes of Brandon Ayuk and Jawan Jennings. But the 49ers, they're missing their identity, which is that physicality on the line. And it begins with Trent Williams and then also the impact that Debo Samuel has. Number one, as a receiver, as a runner, as a do it all guy on that offense. So the 49ers need to get back to that physicality. And I think it's not just there. They got to get back to that physicality defensively as well. They have to play better. So I do believe that coming out of the bye, that Kyle Shanahan will give Brock Purdy the benefit of the doubt. But like I said before, the 49ers do not have that much wiggle room right now. And if this slide continues, especially for Brock Purdy, then you know what? You've got to go out there if you're San Francisco and make the move to Sam Darnold, in my opinion. He brings a different element to the quarterback position. Brock Purdy is a leader on this team. As a young man, he's very respected. But the 49ers right now, they're trying to win a championship. So let's see how much the bye week helps the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see how quickly they are able to get healthy. And more importantly, let's see how quickly they can get back on track as it's stretch run time in this NFL season. The second half is basically here. The trade deadline is right around the corner. And of course, the 49ers need to get right, especially being that the Seattle Seahawks just made the trade with the New York Giants to beef up their defensive line and acquiring Leonard Williams. So they're definitely showing the Niners that they are not going away quietly. So let's see what's next for the Niners as they try to survive the push of the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC West and also get themselves right. And it's important for the 49ers to get back on track because you're still, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, one of the top teams in the NFC. And you want to do what you got to do to try to go out there and host the NFC Championship game. The Niners hosted it during the 2019 season, and of course, they went on to the Super Bowl. Last two times for the 49ers, they were the road team. Granted, in 2021, they didn't have to travel that far. They had to travel to LA. And of course, they had plenty of fans there. But I'm saying this from the standpoint that you want to try to go out there and try to get home field advantage because it makes a difference. The 49ers in 2019 had home field advantage. Everything went through Santa Clara. 2021, you didn't have home field advantage. You didn't win your division. You started off as a wild card team and you had to travel to Dallas. You had to travel to Green Bay and then you had to travel to LA. And then, of course, last year, you were the two seed. You got a couple of home games, but then you still had to turn around and travel to Philly. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but having to get on that plane come January for a playoff game when you got to go cross country, and more than likely that you're going to have to go through Philadelphia once again if you're going to try to get to the Super Bowl from the NFC. These are the games that you got to win. You got to go out there and take care of your business. So let's see how the 49ers are able to get right during their bye week. Let's see how they respond, and let's see if the Niners can get back to what has made them one of the better teams in the NFL in recent years. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.